A friend once asked me if I was an adrenaline junkie, and at first my reaction was, what? Am I an adrenaline junkie? Because I'm not like an intensely daring person. It had been in the context of me telling him about me wanting to sail the world. I told him about all I like to do whenever I'm near the ocean: surf. I love surfing. It's one of my favorite things of all time. It's such an intensely spiritual thing, which is odd to say. Like, you're just on a board and on water. Like, it's not. It doesn't sound that crazy. But once you think of it, it is meditative, because you look at, I don't know if I'm probably like very few of you of watching this video have surfed. So I'll describe to you what surfing is. Or sorry, what you actually do while you're surfing. First off, you paddle out into the ocean. Imagine the waves are nice. Sun is out. Obviously it's not all like that, but imagine this. Sun is out, the waves are nice. You can feel the ocean breeze around you. You paddle out to where the surf break is, which is about like usually like 50 to 100 feet away from the shore. Probably varies, but paddle out. You wait. You sit on your board. You don't have to sit, but usually you sit on the board and you just look at the horizon. You wait. You wait for a while, and you look and read the energy of the waves. You literally read the energy of the ocean, which is a very, I mean, at first surfing doesn't sound very spiritual, but just by hearing that, you can understand how spiritual it could be, and how like, oh, I want to do that more. And you read the waves. Eventually you see a big swell. Not a swell, but a set. That's what it's called. A set, or a couple waves of higher energy, higher wavelength, like bigger waves. And obviously there's more, but for the sake of conversation, I want to say that that's the biggest factor. Well, I don't know about biggest, but one of the main factors. And so you switch the board around and you paddle on it. You paddle in the same direction that the wave is going. So you paddle like almost with the wave until the wave picks you up. The wave picks you up, and the wave does its thing, and it pushes you onward in the same direction that it's going, of course. At that point, it's not your energy that's carrying you. It's you and the ocean. And so it's it's this intensely spiritual thing, because the ocean is almost like a living thing. I mean, if you really think about it, if you look at the definition, a living thing is just something that, like, well, we could go into definitions, but like in your mind, subconsciously, you kind of like start to have this understanding of the ocean, of this living organism, this giant living organism that surrounds 70% of the earth. It's very like, you can understand how the Hawaiians believed in these polytheistic like pantheons of different gods, of the ocean, of volcanoes. I mean, they had the story of, just as a side tangent, they had the story of the goddess Apele. She was a goddess of volcanism and lava. They had the story of how she moved from one island to the next and slowly went down the island chain to all the way ending in Hawaii, the Big Island, I mean. The Big Island is the big island, the biggest island. It's the most volcanically active one currently. So that's where they got their idea of Pele of residing there currently. If you look at the actual geology of the Hawaiian Islands, it's very almost accurate, because that's how it happened. The Pacific Plate, where the Hawaiian lands reside, moves relative to the Hawaiian hotspot, which is where the magma comes up from the mantle and has magma that rises up all the way until it reaches land. But since the Pacific Plate moves relative to that, to the mantle, I mean, the Hawaiian Islands are a chain of islands, with the most recent island being the most volcanically active, with the most, well, I'll just say the most volcanically active. And that's, if you really think about it, that's kind of the same way that Pele was described. And so, anyway, I'm done with this side tangent. I just wanted to say how neat that was, how intensely spiritual the Hawaiians were also. And I look back at surfing, and I didn't think of it as this, I didn't at all think of it as this daredevil, as this adrenaline junkie kind of thing. So I was like completely dumbfounded to why my friend would ask me, "Are you an adrenaline junkie?" And I was like, "What?" I told him, I was like, "Yeah, kind of." I was just like goofing off in the moment. But when I thought back to it, realistically, if I were to lay out how surfing was, like a diagram of surfing, I mean, you're over rocks, coral, only a few feet over them. A lifeguard would be terrified, which is precisely why Hawaiian lifeguards are so almost seen as like the bosses of the beaches there. Always respect them. Always do what they say. Always, that's just what you do. If we look at pool lifeguards, like regular pool in California or something, lifeguards are not that respected. There's kids running around. There's kids like doing whatever. There's people like, "Hey, no running, sweetie," or something like that. That's how I imagine mainland lifeguards. But you look at Hawaiian lifeguards, and they're always seen as respected, because people are crazy. People are daredevils and adrenaline junkies. And I realized that I'm just like them. But I didn't really see it that way. Because surfing was seen as, or sorry, it was this spiritual thing to me, and it wasn't like something I was doing to get an adrenaline rush out of it. So I thought more into it. And I kind of realized that Hawaiians are kind of crazy. They're crazy people. I mean, look at Polynesians in general. They do some crazy stuff. Like, I mean, the fact that they're able to go so far, like, that's a footnote in history, but that should be like one of the most praised things in history ever. Like, they were able to go from Indo-Malaya all the way from there to the Hawaiian Islands. That's so far. That's like more than half the Pacific. They're able to go all the way to Easter Island, which is insane. Again, they seem like daredevils. To a logical person, they seem like daredevils. And so I thought about it a bit more and realized that logically, most of the stuff, the most fun stuff that we do isn't really logical. We can't have this idea in our head that we need to have a purpose, some logical purpose. Logic shouldn't be the only purpose, or it shouldn't be the only ideology that we have to go through life. Oftentimes, our goals will seem like they're going nowhere. They'll seem like there's no rhyme or reason why we should be doing it. That's logic. That's logic. And we can't go through life consistently and all the time relying on that one simple tool. It's a tool that should be used, but you should realize that it's a tool and it's not just a end all be all. So, like I already said in another previous video, you should do things because you're proud of doing them. Do things because you're proud of doing them and you'd regret not doing them later on. If I think back to surfing, I'm so proud of doing it. I made, like, even if it's not logically real, I made a connection to the water that I wouldn't have had before. And it was so much fun because of that. It was so much fun. Usually fun is tied with that proudness. You don't have to drink alcohol. You don't have to do all this hedonic. You don't have to run in this hedonic treadmill of just drinking alcohol, going to parties, I know I sound cringe right there, but like, you don't have to do all this crazy stuff. You don't have to do something you regret to have fun. And that's kind of the point of life, like having fun but not regretting it. So I want to leave this video on a good note. Do what makes you proud. You don't have to do everything by what your people tell you to do, because typically they might actually be right. They might actually be logically right, but they probably won't be right most of the time, because logic isn't the only way to think. It's not the only ideology. So have faith in yourself. Do stuff that you're proud of, because that idea in your head, doing what you're proud of, that's fueled by your intuition, and your intuition only wants what's best for you. So well, that's about it, actually. Ciao.